Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the ONEMAP3D Beta 5th Co-Developer Workshop. The idea and objective is to invite the public and private sector on feedback and ideas on the features you'd like to see and how to improve ONEMAP3D Beta. So we welcome proposals from industry use cases and also all in the spirit of open source. Two examples from our partners are BMUch, who is working to improve ONEMAP3D Beta autophoto features, and we have our geotech Garuda, who's mapping out the drone parts on the 3D map for AED's delivery. Before we proceed on to the demo by my colleague Charles, I would like to invite Serene to give a brief intro. Over to you, Serene.
Okay, just give me a minute. Let me share my slides. Thank you, Vanessa. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Serene. I'm the product manager of ONEMAP. Please let me know if you cannot hear me clearly. Today, I'm going to do a very quick introduction to ONEMAP3D Beta. A quick one that will take less than 10 minutes before I pass over to my colleague for the next part of the presentation. Meanwhile, this is my email address. If you have any questions, you can also email me after this session. I would like to just give a little context about ONEMAP and what is ONEMAP. So ONEMAP is the first major initiative of Singapore National Spatial Data Infrastructure. And basically, ONEMAP is a whole of government mapping platform that we use to deliver updated geospatial information and services to the public. I'll give you some examples later. ONEMAP was launched in March 2010. However, in 2017, there was a very big revamp in terms of our infrastructure, and we launched ONEMAP2 in October 2017. And only just last year in September 2020, we launched the ONEMAP3D beta version, which is now accessible to all public. What is our value proposition? It is really to provide services and content customized to Singapore context, and to provide as detailed and updated map information to the public as much as possible. And also, ONEMAP is a conduit for public agencies to provide information consistently to the general public. So some of the examples would be like the PCR test provider locations and vaccination center locations, which you can actually find on ONEMAP. I don't suppose you'll be able to find all this in the regular commercial mapping platform. I'd like to quickly touch on some of the widely used functions on ONEMAP. Property query will show you the latest transaction prices for the sale and rental of property units around Singapore. This is something that's something to be of very interest to a lot of Singaporeans. Nearby is a function that will show you all the amenities around your current location. Drone query will show you the no-fly zones around Singapore. We are also currently in the midst of transiting some of these 2D functions that you find available on ONEMAP today to 3D version by next year. So some might ask, why is there a need for us to go from a 2D to a 3D mapping platform? It is because of the increasing need for richer data on buildings and locations driven by feedbacks on the ground, which actually prompted us to embark on this journey of transformation. And also by adopting open source solution for this platform, we hope to bolster the developer community to hatch more innovative geospatial solutions with the 3D data that we are providing. Lastly, we also seek to foster more collaborations with the industry and the general public through this new platform. Currently, ONEMAP2D and ONEMAP3D are hosted on separate domains. However, come 2022, they will be fully integrated. So the public can actually access both platforms with one single domain. Now, with this new platform, we aim to provide sufficient details such as LOD2 models, buildings, and street furniture. And also, ONEMAP3D is available on common platforms such as via API and open data standard. We also aim to provide immersive experience for our mobile and web platforms. Now, some of the new features that you can find in the new 3D environment are, for example, the property query in 3D is in a 3D format to showcase the first-person view at various levels. So what you can see is something like this. You'll be able to select the level that you want to view your environment from and to see your surrounding from, and you'll be able to do that in the 3D platform. Additionally, we also have a function called shadow casting. This is used to simulate how buildings cast shadows over time, and you can even tweak and adjust the timing to see how the shadow is being casted over time. We also work with the CAAS to display the various drone boundaries in 3D as shown. Last but not least, this is somewhat how navigation in 3D will look like on our beta platform, and I urge you to go to our beta platform to give it a try. And with this, I've come to the end of my slide. Thank you for sitting through my presentation. I will now pass on to Charles, our technical manager, to do the next part of the presentation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Serene. So let me share my slides. Okay, now let's take a look on what data is actually available to be shared to the developers. So we have buildings, terrain, and also orthophoto. Okay, next, the data can be accessed via API and also a direct downloads. Okay, so the following API is actually available. We have Gltf Api, 3D Tiles, and Kml. Okay. We will provide the API documentation on how to call our 3D data. Okay, so now let's take a look on the API documentation. Okay, so let me know if you can't see this documentation. Let me see. Okay, so first, the first thing that we need to do is contact OneMap team to request for the API login. Next, you can download a Postman application from this URL to test the API. This step is actually optional. You can directly go to item 3 on how to call the API. Okay, to call the API, first we need to download Node.js application and follow the following steps. We will provide the codes on. We will provide the codes for the proxy server to call our API. So you can just copy and paste these codes into a text document and run it as a Node.js application. Okay, you also need to insert in your username and password that we provided. Okay, so once everything is ready, you can just run the server by typing node server.js. Okay, so let me show you some demo on how to start the API server. Okay, just type node at server.js and you will see that the server is running on port 8080. Okay. Next, to test whether the API server is running, just click on this URL here, click allow, and then switch to your web browser. If you can see this screen, means the API is running successfully. Okay. Once the API proxy is set up, the next thing that you can do is to write your own JavaScript or web application to call the API. The easiest way to use our API is by using open source application that's called 3D CTDB or Cesium. So let me show you the 3D CTDB open source application. So to access the 3D CTDB, just search GitHub 3D CTDB. Okay, you can use this application, which is the easiest way to test or call our API. Okay, once you are inside the GitHub page, click on 3D CTDB web map, and you can download the codes. Once you downloaded the codes, you can host it in any web server like IIS, Internet Information Service, Nginx, or Apache Web Server. This code actually comes with Node.js server.js, which you can also run it as a web server. Okay, so the open source codes needed to access our API is actually inside this 3D web client directory. It is HTML and JavaScript codes. Okay, so what will it looks like? Okay, I'll show you an example. Okay, so this is the default page that you will be able to see when you run the open source 3D CTDB. You can zoom into Singapore. Okay, and then to call our API, we just copy and paste the test URL that we opened just now. This is to call our Gltf API. Okay, click add and configure layer and type in the URL here. Just add layer. Now you'll be able to see the buildings. Okay, this HTML and JavaScript application is totally customizable. So if you do not like the interface here, you can actually modify the codes and customize to meet your own needs. Okay, next, let's take a look on another type of API. Okay, the API that I showed you just now is Gltf API. Next, we also provide the API in 3D tiles formats. Okay, so you can just reuse the same Node.js proxy application that we configured just now, and just call different URL for 3D tiles API. Okay, to use our 3D tiles API, you can reuse the 3D CTDB open source application that we opened just now. Just remove the Gltf layer, change it to 3D tiles, and paste the 3D tiles API URLs. Okay, I think there is some issue here. Okay, another way to access our 3D tiles URL is via Cesium open source application. Okay, you can download it from this particular URL. Okay, so this is another open source code that you can use to easily access our API. If you are using Cesium, they have Sandbox available online, which you can directly use to test your codes. So to access the Sandbox, you just type in Cesium Sandcastle.
Charles, do you have a code screen? Would you like to see the code screen instead of the Word document, please?
Oh, okay, sure. Code screen. Okay, can you see now?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so just now, okay, so once we click the 3D tiles, okay, let me see. Okay, are you able to see the code screen now?
Yes, we can see.
Okay, so in order to access our 3D tiles API, you can just use the URLs available from the PDF API documentation just now. And it will, the URL is, okay, let me copy this. The URL is 3D tiles. Okay, so this is the, okay, give me a while. Let me find the URL for 3D tiles. Okay, so you can copy and paste this URL from the API documentation and come back to the 3D CTDB application just now. Okay, you just remove selected layer and choose 3D tiles from the drop-down menu. Okay, next you just copy and paste the URL and click add layers. Okay, now you'll be able to see the buildings in 3D tiles. Okay, another way to access the 3D tiles API is via open source applications called Cesium. Okay, it is also available on GitHub. In order to access that, we can just Google GitHub Cesium. Okay, you can download this open source codes and host it on any web server, or you can also run the server.js, which is a Node.js application server. For this Cesium application, they actually have, for this Cesium application, you actually have the Sandcastle, which is a sandbox available for developers to try out their codes. So you can just Google Sandcastle Cesium. Okay, so this is the, okay, so this is the sandbox where you can write your own code and test our API. Okay, let me open the, okay. There are a few additional codes that you need to key in into Sandcastle in order to call our API. I will share my slides on the codes. Okay, so in the API documentations, you can just copy and paste these codes. and put it inside the Cesium Sandcastle. Then click run. Okay, the first portion of the codes is actually calling our existing OneMap base map API. The second portion of the code is to call the terrain, which is highlighted here. And the last part of the codes is actually to call our 3D task API and move the map into a certain location. Okay. Next, let's take a look on another type of API. Let me share back my slides. Okay, another type of API is the Kml API. Okay, this is the URL for the Kml API. Okay, wait, click allow. Now let me go back to the screen. Okay, so this is the Kml API. We can access this Kml API easily using the open source 3D CTDB. Okay, just remove the previous layer, copy paste the URL and change it to Kml. Okay, so this is how the Kml API will looks like. Okay, next, I would like to share with you on what you can do with this API. Okay, there are few examples. If you go to the Sandcastle, okay, if you access Cesium Sandcastle, there are several sample codes that you can try and explore on how to use this Cesium open source application and create your own 3D web-based applications. Okay, another example is on what you can do with this application. So you can actually create a 3D map applications where you allow the user to measure the buildings in 3D. So for example, from this HSBC tower, what is the distance from this tower into the next building? So with 3D, you can actually do a measurement from roof to roof. This is just a sample application to give you some ideas on what you can use the 3D API for. Another example is, for example, we turn on terrain. Actually, we also have terrain API. If you need access to it, you can just write to us. Then we will share on how to go about it. So for example, we go to Mount Faber. We can do measurement to check the distance for this cable car tower to the next buildings. So the distance is around 83 meter. Another example is, for example, you would like to check the height of certain location. So for example, we need to check the height of this road is 13 above mean sea level, 13 meter. How about this location is 36 meter. This location is 81 meter. Another application is you can actually load your own BIM model or building information models into this web application, and you can compare how this how your new buildings will looks like once it is actually built compared with the surrounding area. We can also allow user to draw draw any planned buildings inside a web application, and we can do several types of 3D analysis such as shadow. So we can see the impact of new buildings if it is built against the surrounding area. So these are just sample application on what we can do with the 3D. Okay. Okay. If you have any if you face any difficulties in accessing our API, or you would like to uh, get some additional information, you can just feel free to email to us. We'll be happily to discuss with you on how we can actually help to to build your web applications. Okay, so I think I finished my presentation. If you have any questions, I will open for question and answer.
Yes, we have one question from Ranga here. For 3D tiles, those who were demonstrated were missing texture. Was it correct?
Yes, currently for 3D tiles, we still have not created we still in progress of adding the texture into it. So it's still a work in progress. Texture is currently only available for Gltf API.
One question, the attendee has currently a fleet tracking app using Mapbox GL. Can he load or she load OneMap API 3D layer there? Or does he or she need to rewrite the map apps into Cesium?
Okay, currently the API is compatible with Cesium. If you, I think additional codes will be required if you would like to access it using Mapbox GL. It is not impossible, but there are additional codes needed. So, okay, for this case, why not you just write into us, then we will explore together on how you can actually use it on Mapbox GL.
Does anyone have any more questions? All right, just to share the benefits and features of the program, again, I'll be open for your interest. If you like to experience this, the APIs for OneMap3D beta, you can write into us, and you have to sign an NDA with us. And basically, we will, after the signing of the NDA, we'll provide you the APIs, and you will also arrange a meeting with us so that you can just briefly share with us for 5 minutes, very basic about your company, as well as let us know your use case. And then the benefits in return, selected parties will be invited to be a pilot user for OneMap3D beta. And you have a 1-year complimentary Geo membership at GeoWorks. You can use our facilities for your meetings. And you have the opportunity to have a comment with SLA as well. So that's the benefits. And this is the sign up link as well as QR code if you're interested. All right, Charles, would you like to share your the OneMap3D email address as well, if anybody has any questions, would like to get in touch with you for
Okay,
us?
if any question, you can just contact Serene first. Then I will reply to that email.
So the question from Hui Yi, it was mentioned that BIM models can be uploaded. What formats do these need to be in?
Okay, usually the BIM format will be converted into 3D tiles. So usually what I did is we just take the BIM models and select the layers that we actually need and use the FME software to convert it into 3D tiles. And after that, it can be loaded into Cesium.
Question from Xiao Cheng. He's written in to Serene on the ONEMAP3D team before. Was told that API won't be ready until September. Serene, would you like to take this question?
Yeah, hi, Xiao Cheng. Basically, this API is not ready because we are not opening up for the public to use yet. Unlike OneMap, where there's actually a website where you can just freely go and download. Right now, we are still we are planning to actually launch this in September together with our OneMap3D. And if you really do want to join in our co-development program, you may sign NDA, and then we can release the data to you for your trial. So maybe you can just write into us again and say that you want to join in this co-development program, so that we can also liaise with you on the NDA.
Also, just to respond to Hui Yi, we do have the Singapore 3D Sandbox at the GeoWorks facility, where, as Charles was mentioning, you can actually import your 3D building models into ONEMAP3D beta and do some simulations and testing from there. So this is the link I just shared in the chat box. You can also book a meeting with us. It's by appointment only because of safety distancing. We have to manage the number of bookings per day, and it's available only at GeoWorks facility with an NDA. So there are many use cases, for example, for researchers who want to simulate dengue zones and maybe COVID-19 infection zones as well for some of the use cases, or for architects to plan their building in the certain environment and also the line of sight based on the heights of the buildings. Does anyone have any more questions? Please feel free to add into the Q&A box. Or Charles and Serene, do you have anything else to add?
No, I have nothing to add.
Yes, we shall place this on the YouTube link. Actually, we have also conducted previous sessions before. You can also view the other YouTube videos. It's somewhat similar, just a slight change in the program. All right, if there's no more questions, we'd like to end this webinar. Thank you so much for joining us on a Monday afternoon, and we hope to see you soon at a future webinar, or just feel free to contact us via email if you have any questions. Thank you very much. Charles, Shereen, are you still there? There's a question from Kim Cheong, if you'd like to take this question.
Sorry, wait, which question is that?
Yeah, there's a question from Kim Cheong in the Q&A.
Regarding the 3D data, I think this one Charles have to take it, but he has exited. Kim Chong, can I trouble you to drop us an email at onemap@sla.gov.sg? We will reply your question via this email address. Thanks.
Kim Cheong, for the 3D Singapore Sandbox, we do have Bentley software that can access ONEMAP3D beta as well. All right, thanks everyone for joining us and have a good week ahead.
Thank you.